Hey, Kvell crew, we have our challenge question and answer. And again, whether you're in the challenge or not, they're beneficial things here because people are asking questions that relate to everybody. So first question, I did my weigh-in and my stomach grew. I have not cheated once. Very, very disappointed. What could have happened? So two things. Number one, never take the measurements. Always take the measurements with a grain of salt. So never is one measurement like really actually 100% what's happening. So we do the check-in just so you can check in to make sure that we stay true to what we're looking to accomplish. And let's just say you had a little bit of a deeper breath or you're breathing harder during your scan. If that's the case, then your diaphragm is going to go in and out. Therefore, your belly is going to be a little bit bigger. So I wouldn't worry about it one way or the other unless it continues to happen over the long run. So remember, what we're looking at here is long-term trends. What's happening over the 6-week period? What's happening over a 3-month period? What's happening over the 6-month, 12 months, etc. So what's going on long-term, not what's happening specifically from measurement to measurement, especially when it's only been 3 weeks. I wouldn't put much credit into that one way or the other. Number two, is it better to do less push-ups and go all the way down, or is it better to go to your max comfort zone and push back up? Always full range of motion unless we specify other words. And so you do the level of movement that you can do with full range of motion. So for push-ups, as an example, if you can't do a full range of motion push-up, then you're not ready for that level of push-up yet, right? So go to a modified knee push-up or go to a band-assisted push-up. Depending on how we have the progression stacked that day, go to the regression or the level that you can do 100% with perfect technique in full range of motion. Because what happens is if we always go partial ranges of motion, we're never going to develop strength through the full range of motion. Therefore, we're not getting the benefit of the movement. So always regress to the movement that you can do with perfect technique. What role do hormones play in eating and cravings? Huge. Hormones rule our body. Almost everything that we do, think, is from hormones. And so if your hormones are kind of wonky, you're going to have wonky things going on. And so there's a hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin basically releases when it thinks you should have food. And so if you're used to eating food all the time, that ghrelin is going to release when you're used to having food, and it's going to tell you you're hungry when in reality you're not. And so that's a huge reason that people get food cravings if they're used to eating or grazing all day long. And so it takes a little bit of time for your body to readjust and get out of that habit. Second, cortisol. So if your cortisol is rocket high, so if you're stressed all the time, if you're not getting a lot of sleep, you're going to crave sugar, salt, and fat. Sugar, salt, and fat. Those are the things that we crave when we're stressed out and have high cortisol levels, which again is a hormone. So yes, hormones play an enormous role in our food cravings. I've always been more successful with everything in moderation eating. Keeps from feeling deprived. I can maintain restrictive plans for a while. Would a primarily real foods diet with occasional pizza, burgers, fries, ice cream, beer, etc. work? Any thoughts? Yes. So here's the deal. During the challenge, the goal is to start shifting more towards the whole food nutrition plan, right? So the more whole foods we eat, the less processed foods we eat, the more of those burgers, pizzas, fries, ice creams, beer, etc. things that we eat, the healthier we're going to be. Now, again, we're not telling you can or can't do anything, right? So if you want to go and eat one of these things, burgers, fries, ice cream, whatever, that's fine. You just put that you were non-compliant that day on the whole food challenge, right? No big deal. Is what it is. You felt like doing that and you did that. Now understand that the more of those things you eat, typically as a general rule, the less that you're going to see results. As an example, there's a guy, a fitness professional, and he has, carrot cake once a year on his birthday, and that's the only time he has sugar. He is in phenomenal shape. He has phenomenal body fat percentage, etc. But listen, most people don't want to do that, and so it's totally up to you. But just understand that we're not saying anything's right or wrong. We're just telling you how the body works. So the more healthy whole foods you eat and the less junk or processed food you eat, the healthier you're going to be and the better results you're going to have. So when you talk about moderation, that's all relative, right? So that's relative to you. Your version of moderation and my version of moderation are two totally different things. So make sure that you start to shift that form of moderation more towards a healthier type of eating than an unhealthier type of eating. My knees have been bothering me since doing split squats a few weeks ago. I've been modifying at the advice of each coach, but wonder if it is just an overused pain or more. How do I know if I'm pushing it too far? I don't want to further injure anything, but I also want to miss out on benefits of certain movements. Would wearing a knee support be beneficial or just mask the pain? So here's the deal. If you continue to have knee pain for more than about 2 weeks, or any pain for that matter, we recommend you go to a physical therapist or a doctor. We like the doctors over at Idaho Sports Medicine. Scott Scheffel is the sports med doctor over there. He works out at Kvell. And so he knows what we do. So he's a good one to go to and have him take a look at that and see what's going on. And that's the only way that we really know what we can and can't do without causing further injury. Anything above that, just modify. And if it's hurting, we won't do it until we actually figure out what's going on there, right? Sometimes when we start exercising, one of two things happens. Either we have had an injury for a long time and now we're working those joints through the full ranges of motion, so now it starts to hurt where it didn't hurt before. Or, it only takes one movement to do it slightly wrong where it could hurt. Or again, if you jump in too hard, too fast, it can be an overuse injury where your body's just not ready for it. Remember, it takes anywhere from 3 months or more to start getting your tendons and ligaments where they need to be strength-wise, so that they don't get overuse injuries, inflammation, those types of things. So what I would recommend in the meantime, until you go to the doctors, you back off on all that stuff. Take it a little easier, maybe unload the weights, go a little bit slower, and or modify those movements completely until those knees are healthy. Then once those knees are healthy, you can start working those back into your program. How do I know my metabolism is in a high-performing range? The only real way to do that is to have a metabolism test. But other than that, if you kind of start, number one, if you're not eating a lot of food, your metabolism is going to be low. That's what happens a lot of times. And so when we're, specifically when we're trying to lose weight, we want to drop calories and then increase calories. And so drop portion sizes, increase portion sizes. Because when you increase the portion size, or you have like a free meal, something like that, you're going to boost the metabolism back up. Because the metabolism is based on amount of lean muscle mass and the amount of food that we're needing to process. So for as an example, the 600-pound human who consumes a tremendous amount of food has a very fast metabolism, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to process all that food. Where the 100-pound female who eats like a bird has a very slow metabolism. And so it's opposite of what most people think. And so the way that you know your metabolism is performing at a high level is, like, are you constantly lean, or if you're trying to lose weight, are you consistently losing weight? If your weight loss starts to slow down, typically that's your metabolism starting to slow down. So you want to boost your amount of food intake just slightly. You might see a little bump in weight, but that's okay because it's going to increase your metabolism, and then you drop your food consumption a little bit to start to see that weight loss again. Are there specific foods or things I can do to help with muscle recovery after each workout? The strength focus has been more taxing my body and my recovery is slower. Yeah, great. So the biggest thing is eat good whole foods, right? Eat in the portion sizes that we're telling you. That's going to help you recover more than anything else. Really good, healthy, whole, natural foods with your protein, some carbohydrates. Those are going to help you recover like we need to. And then, of course, you got to sleep. And then on the off days, make sure you're getting some type of recovery activity in, whether it be walking or riding your bike or a nice gentle jog, something that is restorative, not something that's going to beat you down more. Those are the best ways to recover. Sleep being the primary way, nutrition being the secondary way, and then low-level activity, getting the blood flowing, the third way. Any tips for fighting cravings? The biggest thing with cravings is to make sure that you're eating good, whole, natural foods. And most of your cravings are mental cravings. So typically it's either you're getting bored, or you're stressed, or you're not getting enough sleep, or you're just used to eating sugar or whatever the fatty, high salt foods. And so once you get those out of your nutrition for long enough and you're eating good, natural, whole foods, then you start to lose those cravings. But let's say you're still having cravings. Let's say it's for a sweet thing. Well, great. Go have some fruit, right? Go have some just straight cacao nibs with some fruit. Those types of things are going to help to kind of satisfy that craving, but still not ruin your plan, right? So you want to look for things that are similar in texture and taste to the things that you're craving, but are still whole foods. Then you can usually find them if you just spend some time thinking about what it is. Can protein shakes be used as a replacement meal? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by protein shakes, but if you make like a super shake, like we talk about and teach, where it's an entire meal, so you have some protein powder, you have some vegetables, you have some fats, you have some like a whole meal in there, then yeah, that is a meal. It's not a replacement for a meal, it is a meal. Now, if you're just talking about a simple protein shake, no, I don't recommend you do that for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to drop your calories way too low. Number one, it's a completely processed food with no whole foods in there, so it's going to get processed very rapidly. And so the only time that I recommend doing that is if somebody who's really trying to cram a lot of calories in, and is not so concerned with making sure that they're getting the vitamins and nutrients in. But specifically for this, for long-term health, I don't recommend you just slam protein shakes without all the other stuff in there. How important is the quality of meat we eat? What to look for and avoid? The quality of meat is extremely important. All right, so when it comes to meat, what you're looking for is as natural and as wild of meat as possible. So the more like pasture raised meat that you go through, so like chickens that are cooped up in cages and cows that go to the feedlots, all that meat is very high inflammatory. It's got high omega-6s in it with a very low ratio of omega-3s in it. The animal is not treated well, which has an effect on the hormonal balance in the meat, which make the meat less healthy. And so the wilder the meat that you can get, the better. The more free range you can get, the better. The less antibiotics and hormones and all that stuff that they jam into the meat, the better. Because all that stuff ends up in you, right? And then you have to process it, you have to detoxify it. And so we want to make sure that our meat is really healthy. The animal is really well taken care of. And again, wild meat is the best kind of meat that you can get. So if you can get deer or elk or something like that, even better, even healthier. How can I structure my eating so that I don't have highs and lows throughout the day? So if you're struggling, if you're going from like eating a 6 type or snacking or grazing type of meal program, then cut down to 4 meals per day and just space them as evenly as you can throughout the day. And then, then eventually you can cut down to 3 and space them evenly. But again, it's usually a ghrelin that's causing it. Also, it's okay to be hungry, especially if weight loss is the goal. Right? If weight loss is the goal, then actually you want to be hungry. You want to go to bed kind of hungry. You want to be hungry for your next meal. So by the time the next meal comes, you should be hungry. Like you should want to eat. You should have a relish for food. It shouldn't be like this thing where you're just eating because you're ready to eat, right? Now, some of us, our metabolisms are so broken that we have to force food down because we're not used to eating. And so it's a fine balance. But if weight loss is a goal, like you should be hungry at some point during the day. And if you're not, then we have an issue, right? Metabolism's messed up or eating too much food. I like soda, but I don't like coffee or tea. Is there another healthier choice to use, like maybe a Zip Fizz? I don't recommend Zip Fizz because there's a lot of processed stuff in there, if I can remember correctly. So, just if you like that carbonated kind of feeling to get you off of the soda, try like LaCroix or the carbonated waters, or even better, go regular water infused with cucumbers or fruit, strawberries, pineapple, those types of things, if you need a little taste to your water. I'm late to submit my stuff, but can I submit it? Yeah, go ahead. When you get back into town, just submit it all and make sure that you just get it updated the way that you ate when you were out of town. Okay, good questions, great questions, matter of fact. And so we're in, I believe we're in week 4. So again, we're kind of over the hump. Now we got to finish, right? The people that win the challenges and the people that have the best results are the people that finish. Everybody can start strong, right? Everybody starting strong is easy. But the goal here is we always want to finish. It's 6 short weeks of your life. 6 short weeks, we're focusing on changing your habits, creating a better lifestyle, creating habits that are going to last you a lifetime. And so let's make sure that we focus these last 3 weeks and push through and finish all the way staying engaged.